Okay, now check. So you understand 19.5 degree is real key. If you look, this is what they started to do. Say, it's 19.5 degrees. We see that all the monuments, they start looking at planets. And they start looking at, they say on every flyby planet, picture of a planet, or everything they did to a planet, when they looked at a planet, they saw a disturbance at 19.5 degrees north or south. And every planet they saw, here on Earth, it's that volcano in Hawaii that's been erupting for the last 65 million years. Okay? They say on Mars, if you look at Mars, they say the biggest volcano in the solar system, how they know? But they say the biggest volcano in the solar system is on Mars at 19.5 degrees north. Check? Check. So you got to understand this. What begins to happen here? Okay? Now we probably want to leave that. You probably gonna need to get some extra copies of that tape now. They're gonna sell you out on the tape. That's me. All right, now check. Okay. Now let's go back to this. So this damn Star David ain't got shit to do with no Jews. It's telling you about planetary physics. That's what it is. That's what it's about. This right here existed before the planet existed. You understand what I'm trying to say? The planet is made based upon these principles. All planets are made based upon these principles. And what begins to happen is if you have an air mass. Okay, now check. So you understand each one of these points right here, you're going to find a power spot. Okay? Now, but it's also because we're talking about essentially, bam, that's a tape right there. Because what we're getting ready to get into hyperdimensional physics. Hyperdimensional meaning what? Fast. Greater than the third dimension physics. Hyperdimensional physics. Okay? So now when they took a look, when they started to put the double tetrahedral together, looked at it like, damn, don't that look familiar? That's the first thing came to mind. What? Hebrews. So what Richard Hoagland did is they went and started looking at all the ancient texts, the codices, the Vedic, all the papyri from Egypt, India, and looked at all these ancient texts to try to what they began to see was that the tetragrammaton is in actuality the same damn thing. Tetragrammaton grammaton. All right, check. They got these scientists now, and all these scientists do is hypothesize and theorize that if XYZ was to be happening in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th, or higher dimensions, how do we know it in the 3rd dimension? That's all they do. That's all they do. So Richard Hoagland went hooked up with them. And it was funny that they were dealing in a problem book or whatever, they had some of this same science, double tetrahedral science. Okay? So now, if you have a a mass of air. This is a planet. Say going in this direction at speed x. And then right above it, you have another mass of air going at the same speed x in this direction. What happens? You break all third dimensional barriers based upon double tetrahedral mathematics. You go beyond the third dimension. But I say, well, if you was in the third dimension, how would you know you don't break the third dimensional barrier? Because there'd be a disturbance, a vortex at what? At 19.5 degrees. And if you look at Saturn, Jupiter, and all of them. Saturn got that big ass red spot, which they used to, and they say, damn, that thing is still there. They used to think it was a hurricane or a tornado. And it's a damn vortex showing you it's in the high dimensions. If you look at Saturn, I left them damn papers too. I had a couple of bad pictures of planets. But next time you go, you take a look at Saturn, and you take a look at Jupiter. And this is what you'll see. You'll see layers. One going this way, one going the other way, one going this way. All these different layers. You'll see a big ass. See, check. 19.5 degrees. All right? Now you see those layers and layers. What I'm trying to show you here is the more layers you got, the higher the dimensions you go. You see what I'm saying? All right? So now, when they got to this, I checked. Now, when they got to that and they saw that, they were like, dang gum. Look at all the planets. Then they looked at Saturn. They were like, oh, holy mackerel. And these, I think they're called topologists. But these so-called scientists that deal with nothing but high dimensions, they said that if you, okay, now see, that's a six-sided figure. If it was a seven-sided figure, eight-sided figure, every time you add a line in here, what would you see? They say in the third dimension, you see a shadow, another shadow. Bam, you go to Saturn, you see each one of those rings is another high dimension. You understand what I'm saying? Saturn is the key or the doorway of the solar system. It's the melanated planet. That ringing in your ear, I'm talking about, you can physically, that's what Saturn is doing. But you can't hear it, but you can see it. Look at the rings. It's like the damn pineal gland of the solar system. The melanated planet. Check. Check. So, when they look back and they saw his things, look at Saturn, they say, God damn. Each one of them is a high dimension. Alright? So now, the connection between the tetragrammaton and tetrahedral mathematics is that in tetragrammaton, each one, in Hebrew, each one of those is a symbol, right? Got all these symbols inside. They say they found out that each one of these symbols is a shadow of a double tetrahedral configuration. You understand what I'm saying? It is a shadow of double tetrahedral mathematics. From the higher dimensions, it represents this. You understand what I'm saying? Each of these symbols is because you got to understand, when we want to see something from the higher dimensions, all you're going to see in the third dimension is a shadow. Just a shadow. These are shadows. Okay? Each one of those tetragrammatons. So tetragrammaton is based upon double tetrahedral mathematics. Okay? Which is based upon as above, so below. So now check. If we take it a step further, I want you to look at this. Now, when Richard Hoagland went to hook up with those theoretical scientists that all they deal with is high dimensions, and I say Richard Hoagland brought him the double tetrahedral, he was like, God, they just said to him, damn, they got this problem in the literature that it's described as the 27 lines on the general cubic surface. All right, so let me draw us a cube here. All right. Now, so check. So when Richard Hoagland say, consider what they got is they got this big ass book, and all this is higher science or higher theoretical postulations about if this was happening in the higher dimensions and if that was happening in the higher dimensions, how would we see it? Okay. So one of the problems was this one right here. We talk about the 27 lines of the general cubic surface. All right. So like when they took this cube and they inscribed in here a double tetrahedral. Let me get this right. No, I don't. Oh, back. Okay, hold on. Wait, do this first. So essentially what we're going to try to get you to see is, in this cube, you're going to have two interpenetrating tetrahedrals. Now, when we say interpenetrating, we're talking about third dimensional. So we try to get that sort of effect. See. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I can't either. But essentially what it is, and they call this the 27 lines on the cubic surface. And essentially what it is you got these two double tetrahedrals, and you're spinning this thing, and they saying, if this thing is spinning, understanding that the double tetrahedral automatically takes you to higher dimensions, right? All right? Now they say, where's my thing? Okay, the shadows. I said based upon this is the model that they use. They say the shadows would, if it's going into higher dimensions, they will see shadows fall out. All right. The second thing that they will see would be that a hexagon would be at hexagon at north or south pole. Okay? So now check. So based upon this problem that Richard Hoagland saw in his book, this is real key. He said, this is higher dimensions, shadows will fall out. For every other line in there, another shadow. And then on top of that, it said either at the North Pole or South Pole, you're going to find a hexagon. And then when they went and looked at Saturn, bam. And they also found this at the North Pole. Alright? So that's telling you that the double tetrahedral geometry is in full effect. This is how the planets work. And you see, when one air mass goes this way, and another air mass goes this way at the same speed, then you break the third dimensional barrier. So we understand that. They understood. Is everybody with me there? That's okay. So now, So now what they start doing is they to try to look for science and law. Science is all about putting a theory together and then based upon your science, making a prediction based upon your theory. And if you go out there and predict something and you find it, that begins to validate your theory. Right? So check. They say when Voyager flew by the last planet in the solar system, Neptune, which I didn't know, Neptune got rings on it too. The rings are just not as distinct as Saturn's. But at least from what they're showing you in the video, you'll see rings around Neptune too. And they say Neptune was emitting 3 times more energy than it receives from the sun. They say, how? There's no way possible. There's no way possible. What source is it using to amplify this energy? How can you put out more to get back? No, put out more than you take in. So they said, but if Neptune was based upon double tetrahedral geometry, all right, then it makes sense. Because the double tetrahedral mathematics is the energy source. It's taking, so in essence, what it does, in essence, like if you can check it out on the internet now. They talk about, if you go to free energy devices, they got all these devices now, they're talking about where see, the thing about it is like your car, what you put in, you get less out of what you put in. You understand what I'm trying to say? So in essence, nothing works at 100% efficiency. You don't burn all the gas in your car. You got 20 to 30 to 40% emissions coming out that you wasted unburned fuel. So traditional science says, in terms of work, which is input plus output, you can't put more out than you put in. There's always going to be some degradation. Okay, what they call hysteresis. Now they got these devices where they're putting in 1, and they're getting 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 times the energy they're putting in out. And they say, wait a minute, that's not possible. All the Newtonian physics would be wrong if this was the case. Okay? So what modern science is finally saying is that Newtonian physics, as we know it, is just a subset of a greater science, a greater physics, which is based upon double tetrahedral. Okay, so now it's key that because you understand how I opened myself up was with December right here, as above, so below. All right. That's my psychic grid. There's one around me, one around my house, and I got one around the planet, I got one around the solar system. You understand what I'm trying to say? I've been using this since day one to open myself up, as above, so below. It's the same damn thing. It's the same thing. The only thing, you just shifted it up. Same thing. Same thing. So I've been using double tetrahedral, and they initially didn't realize it. Okay? So now check.